the reason why Chris Sky stormed out of here is because he deeply loves your reporting and Rebel News, because we have been his most frequent and fair journalists. And so I think he feels like he has a breach with us on this issue, and I think that causes him some pain because he has loved the fact that we've reported on him. So in a strange way, you know, the opposite of love isn't, the opposite of love isn't hate. The opposite of love is complete coldness. I actually don't think he's a Jew hater. I just don't think he is.
You know, that's good enough for me, and I never called him that
no,
either.
I know you didn't.
know.
I just don't think he is.
Okay.
But he just won't say, oh, that's a stupid thing.
Yeah.
What a shame. Okay, we're not going to play the whole thing because you can see that it's a half-hour video on our site. But I want to show you how David approached it. So David had talked to Chris about a number of other things. And then let me tell you, this was the chance where you would think Chris Sky would say, look, I'm not saying the Holocaust didn't happen. I'm not racist. I don't have a problem with people of different backgrounds. My language was wrong. That's not who I am. I don't know. I think you say something like that, and if you say it, if you mean it, I think people say, all right. But holy moly, you sort of went the other way. Take a look.
Again, moving on to the weird world of social media, and I have to bring this up because it's a thing. We even get questions. Why do you give Chris Sky the time of day, given that he is a Holocaust denier? And
I am not a Holocaust denier. I have been to the concentration camps. How many of you so-called Holocaust proponents have actually gone to Germany, spent hours on a train, hours more on a bus, and then hours more exploring Sachsenhausen concentration camp? I saw where they kept the Jewish people. I saw where they kept the non-Jewish people. The only thing I've said about the Holocaust is when they tell you 6 million people died, that's a biblical reference, and it's about fulfilling a prophecy for the Jews to come home to their homeland. And they've used that reference multiple times in media well before World War II, going back all the way to the early 1900s. So that is not Holocaust denial. And the only other thing I said about World War II that people try to criticize is, yes, we know Jewish people were persecuted. We know they were killed, and it's horrible. But so were 30 million other people during World War II. So we need to remember everybody. And when I said we need to remember everybody, they're like, oh my God, you're a Holocaust denier. It's like when someone says all lives matter, and then someone screams, oh, that means you mean black lives don't matter. No, that's not what it means at all. So anyway, that's complete bull.
Well, Chris, because the internet is forever, I mean, some of those posts from years ago have been republished. Here's one, quote, 6 million Jews were murdered is the biggest lie created in the history of fake Jew history, end quote.
That is,
why would you say that?
Because 6 million people did not die in the Holocaust. If 6 million...
How many did then?
We have no idea of knowing.
Really?
But for them to claim an exact number when it's completely impossible of knowing, it's completely impossible of knowing. And there's lots of different references like the World Almanac that show the population before and after. When Israel was created between 1946 and 1948 with all the stuff that was going on, millions of Jewish people habitated to there. So 6 million people didn't just die, they relocated. So when they say 6 million people, like I said, it's making reference to their biblical prophecy that says once 6 million of us perish, we will get our homeland back. So that's Chris, why they chose the number of 6 million, because it's written in their book. There is no way of knowing how many people died in World War II. For someone to go and say 32 million people died in World War II, that's complete hogwash. So for someone to be able to go and say, especially in concentration camps, that this many people died, a specific number, that's complete hogwash. There's no way of knowing how many people died.
Well,
do we know they were persecuted?
I would dispute
1,000,000%. That's indisputable. Do we know they killed a very large number of people, probably in the millions? Yes. Do we know that they killed 6 million on the dot, or 6 million, that number? No, and nobody can prove that, and that's what I am saying.
Well, Chris, have you ever reached out to Yad Vashem, the Holocaust Remembrance Center in Jerusalem, who has done incredible decades worth of research? I mean, I've been there several times. I remember a curator once saying when they had the original number, it was 18 million, and then they wanted to be bulletproof. So they went through the records over and over, and sometimes people were double, triple counted, and they whittled it down to 6 million. Now, if you had an agenda to make the Holocaust look worse, you would have gone with the 18 million figure.
Okay, but
so have you ever reached out to the experts in the field?
Oh, okay. So the experts first said there were 18 million, and then the experts then said there were 6 million. So were they right when they said 18
But they
million?
wanted to be bulletproof.
Oh, so they wanted to. So now, because they said they're really, really sure, that means they're 100%. The first it was 18 million. That's triple the number. Now they're really sure that it was 6 million. Does that mean they're 100% sure?
No, but explain the reason. Some people were counted 3 or 4 times.
That's wonderful. So does that mean that they missed any more that could have been double counted, or some people that were counted that weren't really dead? Does that mean that the 6 million number that they came up with is 100%? Can you tell me? Can we contact them right now and they're going to say the 6 million number is 100%, or will they say it's an estimation? Will they say it's our best estimate?
Well, you know, Chris, it's sad.
I asked you a question. Will they say it's 100%, or will they say it's an estimation? When their previous estimation was 18 million.
They believe this is the most accurate figure.
Okay, they believe, so it's not a figure.
Chris,
it's something that they're literally making up, like I said, and they're saying this is our best guess.
But Chris,
a guess is still a guess. A guess is still something you made up. So when you quote me and say you're denying the experts themselves are telling you this is a number that we're making up based on the information we have available. Based on the information we had available, we thought it was 18 million. Now we're guessing it's 6 million. So that's all I'm saying.
Guessing, it's doing decades and decades worth of research.
That's wonderful.
You've gone to some website.
You can say whatever you want. Regardless, you admitted that it's their best guess.
Well, I didn't say guess.
Their best belief. Sorry, a belief is still a guess.
Well, I think based on decades worth of scholarly research.
And now I'm 100% sure that you guys have changed your stripes, because this started about an interview about anti-lockdown, and it turned into let's assassinate the character of Chris Sky and try to make the Jewish community not like him. When I have very high support from the Jewish community, because some of my best friends are Jewish. No, I know exactly what's going on now, David, and now I know why I didn't get contacted by Rebel News for a couple months, and now I also know why you guys got demonetized off of YouTube and you lost all your income, yet somehow you started hiring all these new people and somehow your station keeps growing. And now when I go on your feeds on Twitter and stuff, it reads more like a mainstream media platform instead of the Rebel News of old. Well, you guys are starting to disappoint me, David.
No, Chris, listen, I
hope you don't edit this out to make it look, to try to make me look bad. No, Chris,
this actually, this attack on me and my organization.
It's not an attack, it's just an observation.
If I may speak, we have always given you a platform. When we see allegations made, I'm giving you, in all fairness, time to respond to those allegations.
And I did. And you keep trying to push the narrative that I'm a denier and trying to push everything. You even tried to push the narrative that it didn't matter that they lied about Ottawa. You tried to pretend like I didn't show you an email. You said, oh, it could have been anything. You're literally feeding every narrative that they're using to attack me right now, and you're playing into it. So, David, I think I'm going to cut this interview at this, and I don't think I'm going to be talking to Rebel News anymore.
Really? Seriously?
Yeah.
Well,
have a nice day, Dave.
Okay, well.
So that's the part I wanted to talk about today. Now, by the way, I think, in fact, later that night, he did do an interview with Rebel News downtown. I think Mocha or someone else of our team was down there when he was having a debate. So his boycott of Rebel News lasted, I think, a day. I think David's wrong about where the Nazi numbers come from. And I'm not criticizing David's. I've been to Yad Vashem, and I've seen the Nazis were meticulous accountants. In fact, they were a client of IBM, which was around back then, if you can believe it. The Nazis were, in their German efficiency, they counted censuses of Jews. They were very methodical, counted the deaths in different death camps. And I'm not here to debate the actual number. We could do that another time in another place. I don't think 6 million is supposed to be accurate to 7 significant digits. But I think that Chris Sky is right to say Jews were one group of victims in the Second World War. It's obviously true. I mean, 20 million Russians died. But I don't think that, but his, all lives matter argument, which he leaned on a bit there, that's not what he said in those social media posts. That's just not what he said. But what surprised me the most about that interaction is David put to him, okay, you said these things. And I thought he would say, oh, yeah, you know, I thought he would come down a bit. Instead, he doubled down. And I don't think he had the facts at his fingertips, but it's just a weird thing to do when you're presented with sort of, you know, things that are extremist, iffy, Holocaust revisionist. I think you can call some of those things racist statements or anti-Semitic. And his volume went up and his anger went up. His facts didn't go up, but he seemed to double down on the whole thing. I thought that was the wrong approach for his own sake. And I know for a fact that David's purpose really was to take the stinger out, because no one else would give Chris Sky a chance to explain on his own terms what all those social media posts were about. Other media would just say, oh, that's it, trial's over, Chris Sky's a racist, anti-Semitic, Holocaust revisionist, whatever. But only Rebel News, because we have that friendly relationship with them, could say, Chris, what are you doing? What's this all about? Giving you a chance to answer it. And, you know, criticizing or attacking David, all right, well, you know, that was BS, but that was seemed to so clearly be to avoid the issues. Why not just say, yeah, I don't know what I was doing with that, dabbling with that stuff. That was wrong. It's not who I really am. I have no beef with the Jews. I have no beef with the blacks. I have no, like, why not just say that? I mean, his particular criticisms of Rebel News were false. He said we hadn't talked to him since YouTube demonetized us. I checked. In fact, we have done 5 interviews with him since that time. You know, I don't even think I need to humor his attacks on Rebel News. You know, we're more like the mainstream media. I don't really know what that means. I know who we are. I'm just trying to figure out who Chris Sky is. I know that a lot of our viewers really like Chris Sky because they see him as a champion of anti-lockdownism. And that's why I like him too. They like Chris Sky because he's stubborn. That's why I like him too. They like him because he's a colorful character like a Kardashian. You just want to watch more because it's riveting. Yeah, me too. That's what we have. Even his personal appearance and that of his wife is unusual. But we are not his PR men. You might think we are because we're supportive of him so much, but we're not, you know, on his payroll. We're not an adjunct to him. And one of the reasons why people trust Rebel News and support us and helped us overcome the Facebook or the YouTube demonetization is precisely because they can trust us to criticize people when they get it wrong, even if they're our friends. Here's what I mean. Jason Kenney and I have been friends for almost 30 years. But we have been his most vigorous critics in Alberta. Doug Ford sat in this very studio here. He spoke at a Rebel conference called Rebel Live. Doug Ford. And we, I think, are one of his toughest critics in Ontario. Aaron O'Toole, everyone knows Rebel News is conservative, not big C, but conservative ideologically. Aaron O'Toole isn't. We criticize him. And people say, why are you criticizing Aaron O'Toole? You want Justin Trudeau to win? Why are you criticizing Jason Kenney? Do you want Rachel Notley to win? Why are you criticizing Doug Ford? Do you want the Liberals to win? No, we're criticizing them because we are not an adjunct of a political party. Our job is to tell it like it is, to follow the facts wherever they lead, to tell the other side of the story. And I don't think people would trust us if they thought we were playing favorites. I know I saw some of the comments, and I saw Chris Sky himself complaining after the interview. I think he misunderstood that interview. That interview was his chance to pull that stinger out, that stinger called, what are you doing getting into Holocaust revisionism? I don't think Chris is an anti-Semite. I just don't think he is. Don't think he's a racist. My observations of him show no evidence of that, which is why these social media posts were so startling. But I say again, if Theresa Tam or Bonnie Henry or Dina Hinshaw or whoever, whatever public health official on the lockdown side had made posts questioning, you know, Jews and Holocaust and things like that, you don't think I would be grilling them on that? This was an opportunity for Chris to pull the stinger out and say, yeah, that's not who I am. Listen, that was a dumb thing I said, and I'm not here to enforce a particular worldview. I'm saying, you said these things. Is that who you are? Like, are you a guy who's talking about the Jewish lies? And by the way, I don't even know what that Jewish prophecy that he's talking about in the book. I don't even think he knows what I'm Jewish. I've been reading books for almost 50 years. I don't know what the hell he's talking about. And I sort of don't think he does either. It's his stubbornness that made him dig in on that. Why not just say, look, David, I was asking some questions. You know, it's okay to ask questions. And I think I got carried away because I was, you know, going down a rabbit hole online or something. He didn't do that. And in that Chris Sky style, he just sort of ratcheted up and doubled down. I don't think that looks good on him. Our viewers are saying, well, why aren't you standing by Chris Sky? Why are you asking him questions? Same reason we asked Doug Ford questions, Jason Kenney questions, and Aaron O'Toole questions, because we have those questions. Now, it bothers me that the source of these questions came from a bad faith, malicious hate group on the left called the Canadian Anti-Hate Network. Okay, but we're not talking about them. I've already sued them. I've already got them to apologize to me, to admit that they fake things. Been there, done that. What about the actual post that Chris Sky wrote? He's standing by them. I don't think he should. I don't think he's an expert on the Holocaust. I don't think he should become an expert on Jews. I don't think he should learn I don't think he should learn by just reading some Wikipedia pages and then vomiting out these crazy, crazy things. I think it's a really bad look on him. I think it goes to his credibility. I think it goes to his character. I don't know. I know that any other political activist who had said those things would be asked about it. And I want our Rebel viewers to know that we will ask any question of any Canadian. I don't care their title or their status. I don't care if they're called the leader of the Conservative Party or the leader of, you know, there is no one in this country we're afraid of, just no one. We sue top leaders. I mean, right now we have litigation against Scott Moe, the Premier of Saskatchewan. We've got several lawsuits against Justin Trudeau. We've defended the Christian pastors, or at least Arthur Pawlowski, against Jason Kenney. We've defended churches around this country. We're not afraid of anybody. And that's all we have. That's the only credibility we have, is that we call it like we see it. Anyways, I've spent far too much talking about this. We are interested in what Chris Sky does, but we are not, you know, one of his bros. Yeah, maybe it looked like it when David was working out with him, but we're not going to defend the indefensible. I think some of those social media commentaries were indefensible. We offered him an off-ramp. He didn't take it. He doubled down, and he got mad at David. History Club World, do you think that Chris Sky is actually serious in his current dislike of Rebel, or is it just a temper tantrum? Also, as a historian, the 6 million death number is based on internal records of the party and other estimates. Could it be off by a little? Yes, but questioning that is too much of a rabbit hole. I think that you're right on all of those points. I think Chris Sky, I've said in our staff meetings, even before this, he ought to have his own reality show. He ought to have someone traveling around with him, filming everything. Him and his wife, Jenny, and their travels and the shenanigans. It is much more interesting than just the Kardashians. And I think Chris Sky does a little bit of performance art. I think there's realness underneath it, but I think he's a master impresario. And that's what I admire about him, that he's deployed that towards civil liberties. But I'm not going to pretend he didn't write those things about the Holocaust. I'm just not going to. And I agree with this writer, History Club World. I've been to Yad Vashem. I've seen the Nazi documentation by country. They did censuses of Jews by country. The Nazis did. I'm not going to get into that. I'm just saying it was really weird to me that Chris Sky got into it and doubled down on it and really pushed back on it so hard when he's not an expert. And frankly, David Menzies isn't an expert on that subject matter either. And I thought Chris Sky made a mistake of making that the battleground. Hyperchat from Rocks 4 Northeast. Stop the division within our already thin freedom lover group. That was just stupid. Divided we lose. Don't you get that? Over half an hour working on more division. What the hell? Well, I'm just talking about the public reaction to our video. This is what we do on these live streams. It's more free-flowing. And it was on my mind. And I was showing you the good faith that Rebel went through. You're right, splitism is a problem. And that's actually the first half of the interview with Chris Sky, is the splitism between Randy Hillier and Roman Baber and Derek Sloan and Maxime Bernier. And like, if all these folks come, and Belinda Carahalios, if all these folks somehow coalesce together, I think that there would be more effectiveness. But I think there's splitism. I think too many people want to be the boss. I would put David's questions in a different category. If you have this stuff dug up on and by the way, I want the world to know that once we knew about these statements by Chris Sky, that we weren't just, oh, fine, just push that up, sweep that under the rug. I want the world to know that too.
Hi, that was a clip from our Rebel Daily live stream. It's hosted Monday, Wednesday, and Friday by the big boss man, Ezra Levant, and Tuesdays and Thursdays by me, Sheila Gunn Reid, and my good friend, David Menzies. On the live stream, we talk about the news of the day, we show some videos, and we interact with our viewers at home. We stream at 12 noon Eastern, 10 Mountain. You can find us on YouTube, Rumble, Super U, and Odyssey.